Alright, welcome back to the shop for another round of drill press machining. I am in the process of taking two old throwers and trying to make one good one out of the two. This is the old one that I took off, which the whole front of this pan was pretty well destroyed, and somebody bolted this angle on here and patched it up. Whatever, anyway. Here's my new thrower. But this bushing down here where it pivots on, pretty loosey-goosey in this hole, so as long as I got it apart, I figured, I'll fix it. So here's the bushing, and of course I'm sure I could probably make a hour drive, well, solid half-hour drive to the implement dealer and probably spend $20 on this bushing if they can even find it. Or I can dig through the Empire and find something that'll work. I don't know what this is. It's got the right OD though. I don't know what it is. It was in my pile of random stuff. There's a titch of play in there, but I'd say it's probably the right size since the holes probably wore a little bit over the years. But yeah, enough of that. So the first problem is a half-inch bolt. Here it is. I got a new bolt. The other one was all wore down too because it was loose. Oh, let's see if I can find it quick. Here it is. This is the bolt that I took out, which is clearly wore to crap. The way this is supposed to work is the carriage bolt starts in this piece, and then the bushing goes down on the bolt, and this piece sits on top here. So that way, with this bushing on here, you can tighten the nut down on the other side tight, and it'll still turn in here. Well, the other one was all loose and bolt was wallered out from turning and whatever. Moving right along. So the first thing I had to do is this was not a half-inch inside diameter, and I took and just clamped it in the vise. That's why the outside's kind of shiny, because it started spinning, and just used a step bit with the biggest end being a half-inch to bore it out. I don't know. I feel like maybe using a step bit helps it kind of stay more centered when it goes through than using a regular bit, especially when your regular bit's maybe a little bit bent from doing something you probably shouldn't have done. But I drilled the inside out to a half-inch using that step bit. So now that fits the bolt nice and snug. Now the next thing I got to do is cut it down so it's the same length. And yeah, I could clamp it in the vise and just whack away at it with the angle grinder, but probably won't get a real square cut. And I'm just going to do this for the sake of doing it, I guess. Put it in the drill press and make a video. So the first thing I need is a half-inch bolt and a nut that I got laying around somewhere here over here. And I'm going to put this bushing onto this regular bolt here and put the nut on, tighten it, and get it chucked up in there. Alright, so I chucked it up in the drill press here, and looks like she's running nice and true. True as it's going to get. I know the machinists among us are cringing. And then I measured this bushing, and it come out to like 0.45 something. But I think part of the reason it's so mushroomed on this end is it's wore down on the end as well as the side. And so by measuring the hole there with the machinist's approximator, I figure it's probably supposed to be a ½ inch. So now I got to transfer that onto here. There we go. And then I'm going to mark it while it's spinning with the hacksaw, so I know exactly, get a good line in there so I know where to cut it. before I get it completely cut through while she's still spinning thing on here, I'm going to take my file and clean up the outside. Now we'll keep cutting our way through, because as soon as I finish cutting through, I'm going to lose my tension and it's going to get loose on the bolt. I think we're through. Suppose I could clean that rust out of there a little bit better, but I don't want to turn it down too far. I mean, what we got there is more than good enough to work for what we're doing, so get it unchucked and loosen up the nut and see how we look. Alright, it didn't quite loosen up on the bolt like I thought it was gonna, so I ended up just cutting right into the bolt. But of my goal of 0.5 inches, we're only under by about 3 thou, which is, hey, not too big for there. And here's the bushing, there's the hacksaw cut, clean and true. And I mean, by far this is plenty good for what it's gonna do. And yeah, so just one more thing you can do with the drill press, and even if you didn't have a grinder, having it spinning on there while you're sawing it not only gives you a real nice cut, but it also really reduces the amount of effort that you have to put into sawing, because it's spinning into the teeth, which really helps cut, I guess you could say. So yeah, we'll get this guy put in there, not drop it, but we'll get her put in there. Looks pretty good. All right. Now here's where the importance of having that bushing long enough comes in, because you need to be able to get the bolt in here hammered down tight, but you need that bushing to be long enough where this thing still turns even with the bolt tight. Because if you made that bushing too short, then it wouldn't be acting as the spacer in there, and this, you wouldn't be able to turn this with the bolt tight. Then you'd have to leave the bolt loose, and then the bolt would end up looking like the one I took out, where it was all wore out from sitting in there wobbling all over. So yeah, better than it was, good enough for what it is. Thanks for watching.